we saw online, for example, huge debate around your film. So we had obviously those who knew quite well the kind of topic and the plot of the film. So it looked to many that it was just ironic on within the cultural debate in Slovenia. But heard by many people here in Trieste, there was the feeling that it was a film that was provocative. And so, what's the truth?
Well, the truth is that I'm not really interested in these things, in who is on which side and where is the border and what is the historic truth, because I suppose that if we are going to think in the same way as elders do and previous generations do, then we will just make the circles. So we will come from one side to another than to the very beginning. So me as a new generation, because in high school I was always going abroad, you know, for European Union stuff, meetings, international, and I really stopped thinking about, you know, different nations as neighbors with a border, you know. So I was really interested about making a topic that would be a little bit historic, but to make it happen today. So 1 year ago, I saw actually those guys, a group of people that reenact the battles. So I found it very interesting to make a film about guys who reenact the battle today, but let's say it has some historic background. But I was not really interested so much about, okay, conquering Trieste and whatever, so on. So I think, well, and the next thing is that the main plot line of the story is how all the generations, so particularly the father of a daughter. Just a second. Okay. So the plot is how daughter will accept her father's idea about the history. Will she accept it or not? So this is kind of more story about how new generation deals with that.
But hold on. This plan sounds right if you think to the Slovene debate. But think to Trieste, which is the place in which we live in, or many of the people who are listening to us now. Trieste is known as as the oldest city in Italy, as average age of the people here, and probably one of the oldest cities in Europe. So actually we have many fathers and many grandfathers and a few songs. So, and maybe for this well, not everybody is able to understand this debate. And so my question would be, how do you think that that your topics can be understood outside of a Slovenian debate? Do you think that to an old city that suffered, as Trieste suffered outside of the Second World War, Slovenes suffered, Italians suffered, Jews suffered here, how do you think that these emotions can accept your topics?
Yeah, that's quite a question about this kind of film, but let's say like that. Germans made last year a film about the Hitler. It was called My Hitler. It was a complete comedy about the Hitler. And because we live in the 21st century, no one really, you know, cared about, okay, we said, okay, time passed by, we shouldn't forget the things, but we look from the other side. So that's, for example, what My Hitler did. We know how many people suffered because of the Hitler, but they still made a comedy. Like, for example, right now there was a film, Inglourious Bastards. American director Tarantino made it about the Germans, but there was no really an international dispute about that. I just think that the nations that did accept, you know, what happened, okay, and said, okay, this happened, that didn't happen, don't really have a problem with the history. But I believe that my film is not really about, you know, talking about what happened, what didn't happen. It's more about how new generation deals with that. And to be honest, Trieste by itself in the film is very fiction, you know. It's like there is some city over there which we don't see. There is no Italian actually inside in the film. They're fighting only Germans. So I would hardly say that I did want to deal with some historic questions. I certainly did not. That's it. I just wanted to make, as I told you before, a little bit more free point of view of our generation. And I still believe that we shouldn't forget about the past. But I'm not really here to discuss about that.
Right. Last question. I think the big issue here in Italy was about the title of the film, Trst. And it is strictly associated to this, past of suffering. After all the buzz that followed the title of the film, would you name it again like that?
Trst.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's wrong with the title? No, I know what you mean. Let's put it that way. There was no student film before that really raised so much attention. So the title by itself in Slovenia, for example, is very well known. There was a book written with the same title, Trst. There was some theater stuff going on about that. So if I look from the point of view that this is artistical piece of, this is the piece of art, the film, there are many artistical projects that had so many stupid titles or so many provocative titles in Slovenia that the Trst. Would be at the very bottom of the provocativeness. So I think there was more to do with, about the premiere and the title, because everyone who saw the film saw that it was not really about that we're making a third world war or something like that. It was about different stuff. But when people saw the trailer, they started to talk about the film that no one has seen so far. So there was a lot of media coverage before the film was actually released for the first time. So this is why I believe the title became so provocative and problematic and everything. But, I really took something that people know. It's very common word. And I believe in the 21st century it wouldn't be that problematic to use it.